Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pep Talks, where we talk about education, the state of education today. Disparities in our school discipline system, both nationally and here in Dallas, call attention to the need for change in our school culture, the use of zero tolerance practices, and the over-disciplining of youth of color, specifically Black youth, have continued the flow of Black boys and girls into the school to prison pipeline. Our educational system spends vast amounts of money for security services and minuscule amounts comparatively on the mental and emotional well-being of our youth. Systemic racism, racist practices and policies have impacted communities of color, but specifically Black communities, creating wealth and achievement gaps that spill into our school system. Implicit bias, a lack of cultural awareness, consistently criminalize Black student behavior, while dismissing and minimizing the same behavior in other students. Zero tolerance policies and practices are proven not to change students' behavior, but increase aggression and disengage youth from the learning process. Learning is not one size fits all. Moving our educational culture from deficit thinking towards a whole child approach is the goal of P.E.P. Joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Darius Pettway. Darius, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. You, from what I know of you, you're an amazing young man. So I'm gonna let you do your own introduction.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me in, reaching out to me. And again, thank you for your service, everything that you're doing for our school system, and making sure our students have the right services and people in place and programs, to really, just to reach their full potential. But for me, honestly, and just like the conversation I have with you, that's one of those things I really hate talking about myself, right? It's difficult. I really love to just be in the light of other people, right? I love being of service to other people. So really, truly speaking about myself has really always been like quite difficult for me. But just on the elementary level, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I came to Texas back in 2016. I went to work for the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. I got recruited to come there. I was working in our intake facility, which is in Brownwood, Texas, which is also the only facility in Texas that housed our female offenders. So I went there, got a lot of experience. I left and kind of moved around, but kind of a backstory of me. I grew up in Detroit, single parent household. I kind of got influenced by something that my dad said to me at a younger age. I went in and out of the system, so I'm also system impacted as well. And dropped out of high school, was a star athlete, was able to, maneuver through that system, high school, and was able to attend college. From there, I played football, got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, then later receiving a master's degree in administrative science from the great, I like to call it the great, because they gave me an opportunity, Saginaw Valley State University, which is located in Michigan. So that's kind of a little backstory on me. Again, we're all always becoming, we're also forever evolving. So there's more to me to come, as God continues to embark on this journey that he has put me on.
Yes, thank you. So tell me about the life school. So when I'm researching you, I saw the very first time you reached out to me, I saw the life school, right? And I'm give me something to work towards, because I also want to start a school myself, right?
Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, okay, this brother got it going on. So tell me about the life school, who it impacts, and why you brought it to life.
That's a great question. When I was in the system, not only myself, when I was working in the system, I discovered that there were three things that really most young adults, youthful offenders lack, right? And it was self-empowerment, leadership, and conflict resolution, right? Those were the three things that I really discovered that not most programs really spend a lot of time or curriculum on. And that was like the three problems that, kept a young offender coming back in the system, right? He couldn't figure out how to resolve conflict, right? Which is kind of, that conflict resolution is kind of the norm when we think of like, okay, what does this curriculum does, right? It helps conflict resolution. But self-empowerment and those leadership skills is something that we kind of put on the back burner when it comes to young people. But it's something that a lot of young people, they need those developmental skills, because a lot of them are leaders in their homes, in their communities at a very young age. Due to the way our system has been portrayed, implemented for minorities, right? Whether it be, stats say that, for African Americans that we're not in the homes as we should, right? Which is kind of the myth. But honestly, when you go into these schools, into these programs, there are a lot of young men that are not being raised by good male role models. Now, there may be a male, but it may not be an effective male role model, because seeing is believing. So you may be around somebody that's saying, hey, you should do this because I didn't do it, right? Versus a male saying, hey, I've been your route. Let me show you how to do it and get better. So what I did was develop a nonprofit, a youth development nonprofit that target, but not limited to, working with young adults that are vulnerable to entering the adult and juvenile justice system.
Okay, all right. So tell me, so the name of your book, right? Tell me why there's an open end to the name of the book.
That's a great question. See, many people
hey
don't
man, I did my research,
right?
bro.
Many people they just don't notice it, right? It's like dot. It's a continuation, to make a long story short.
Yeah. So
for me as a kid, like, I always wanted a chance, right? Whether it be academics, whether it be school, or just a chance to be heard by an individual. I struggle with that, right? It's like, man, I just want a chance, right? So me leaving that and really thinking of that title was for me to go in different environments and say, hey, our young people deserve a chance, but it's not for us to put limitations on them. Right. It's for them to discover what they want a chance to do, right? As a kid, you think of these great ideas, right? Whether it be, hey, I want to be a police officer. Most of them nowadays, I want to be a basketball, football player, right? You hear that most, that's most common, right? But it's like, what they're asking for is a chance, right? It's a chance to become something different. But a lot of young people in these environments and these systems that are in place, right? And we're speaking on the school system, sometimes it really doesn't put our kids on a path to having a chance to be successful. It already kind of put them in this place of like, when you're done with this, or if you go this route, life is almost over for our young people at a very young age, and they never really even get a chance to begin life. So for me, it was kind of, I want to inspire as many young adults, as I can as possible, to really just reach out and say, man, you deserve a chance. Give yourself a chance to just really become successful. And also for our political figures, employers, give our young people a chance to make a mistake, learn from it without it costing them their livelihood.
Okay. So again, I'm going back to when I got introduced to you before I reached out to you. And so I have an organization, my organization, Destination Known. We do the same thing. We're talking about trying to figure out, like, giving kids the voice and the ability to make their own self-determination. Yeah. And my biggest issue with the school system is that for Black youth, we don't get that, right? Like, we're still trying to pigeonhole our kids, like telling Black kids that this is what you can do. Like, you talk to schools and they say they're great alternative pathways, film, this, but we never really ask these kids what they're doing. So since we don't have that, and I know you're involved in the school system as well as myself, do you think that we need to move towards that? And when I say that, do we need to move towards that to make that an everyday part of like our bell schedule, our school? So like me and you, they need to, don't bring us into the situation, build us into the situation, right? Yeah. Do you think that's necessary?
Absolutely, 100%. And I really like the key word that you said in the beginning, building wraparound services, right? And when you think of wraparound services and how big that word is becoming, it's developing a whole child, right? For anyone that's listening, if you don't really understand wraparound, if you don't have any kind of training in wraparound, just look at it as a holistic approach to developing a child. And honestly, this week I ran into a situation at a school with a young adult, and his mom was like, I don't really see this at home. It's only happening at school, right? So she's wondering, like, how's this happening? Like, where's it coming from? It's only happening at school. So I went to the principal and I said, hey, can we figure out a time where I can just come in and let me kind of see what the problem is, right? And their approach is, and I totally get it because I've been a teacher myself, right? Their thing is, and we can talk about that a little later about that system in general, but their thing is, I need him in class because I need him to hit certain milestones, right? I need him to get instruction. So, but if you really think about it and you really dissect it, if he's not receptive to what's going on, if he's not valued in the classroom, it's no way he's going to pick up on what you're teaching him, because as a kid, we don't even understand how important education is until you could become or reach a certain milestone in life, and you understand that knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth. As a young person, you really don't understand it, honestly. I mean, I didn't. I'm not sure about you, but at my age, I didn't understand that education would take you far. You just don't understand, right? So I think just developing a whole child, if we can figure out some way, if a child is lacking in certain, whether it be environmental phases in life, right? Whether, issues are coming from school, at home, in the community, whatever the case may be, that we can bring in services that will give these kids an outlet to talk to people that maybe look like them, been through the same situation, and they can really help overcome certain barriers that, our young people are facing.
Okay. I'm getting ready to get real militant with you right now. So you join in if you want.
Yeah.
You said something that was key, and you said that bring in, right? Like bring in things that were this, but so our school system, because our educational system, we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough staff, they're understaffed, the teachers overworked, they're trying to bring things in. But when you're trying to bring things in as a Band-Aid, it's not going to do that, right? So what I'm saying, what I'm looking at, especially for our kids, let's just dump it all, right? I know you need, I'm not talking, and people think I'm talking about canceling out. Nah, we need education, we need ABCs to a certain point, but at a certain point, like you said, we have to start building what the kids actually want and start teaching, helping them learn, right? And learn means that when you said education is power, it doesn't have to necessarily be what someone else is telling you. If you're interested in something, that's what opens your mind. I mean, when we go back to the basics of education in Greece, and that's what we do, we think. And that's what I'm thinking, that's what I'm hoping that we can finally get to for our kids. Because I don't, just let me know that what I'm thinking about is okay, and that there's a path to it. I just personally think for our kids, we gotta just make something different. And stop. Since it's already broken and we already don't have enough, let's redo all of this and include that, build that into, don't bring it in, build it into.
Absolutely. And you also see with athletics, right? Athletics is now built into a day-to-day schedule, right? Athletics is a part of a curriculum, which means it's an elective, just like PE. So and some students have PE and they have athletics, right? Depending on if you're a part of an athletic team, basketball, football, soccer, whatever the case may be, athletics is built in that schedule. But I think we can go back, right? Because we can figure out a solution. And from my experience being a teacher, I think a lot of emphasis is solely on testing, right? Start testing. It's really, that's really the main focus, because those tests, right, translate to funding.
Yes.
Who's going to give what, who's not going to receive certain funding. You can go to certain school districts and they just, their stress level or their worries are not the same as our public school systems. It's just not, right? Whether it be resources, whether it be teachers, whether it be just their approach to education, it's just totally different. So I think if we can start with our teachers, right? Because teachers, they're the face. They stand in front of our young people. If we can figure out a way to bring energy, life, and hope back into our educators, that's step one. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you. When you talk about that school to prison pipeline, and you think about education, right? It's a pipeline because a lot of our young people just give up, right? Whether it be it's too difficult, they don't understand. And our teacher doesn't have a lot of time. You get 45 minutes maybe per class, maybe an hour and a half if it's blocked, or maybe an hour or two if it's like an AP class and it's fit within the schedule. But our teachers are just struggling to just maintain their time. But also, if you have one or two kids that are giving you disciplinary issues, it's hard to teach a class, right? So even if, okay, you're teaching this certain curriculum, teachers doesn't really have a lot of time to discipline or mentor, so they sending you right out. So now this kid, whatever he's dealing with in the classroom is going unnoticed because teacher's going to send you out, principal's going to get with you. So if the kid is not responsive, respective, or doesn't accept that redirection, they sending them home. Okay. So one thing Dallas did, and I applaud them, right? Because there's some balance to it, right? One thing Dallas and I think Fort Worth have adopted the same model as well, is the reset center.
Yeah.
So what they did was put about $3 million into a system that says, okay, we're going to redirect the behavior. So whatever issues that you're having, we're going to put you in the center, right? We're going to talk about the behavior. We're going to create a solution. So we're not going to put you in the community because we know juvenile delinquency crime rates rise after school because you're in school as much as you're out of school. Maybe it's like 186 you're out of school and 189 as far as days you're on campus, you're in school. So it's about the equivalent. So you're out of school just as much as you're in school. So Dallas and Fort Worth said, okay, let's figure out a solution because they understood, and it's sad that it took this long to get here. And then it's like we're gonna throw like I think about $3 million they put into it. That's create a reset center, but it's still underlying issues that we got to go like way deep to really solve. But it's a start. It's something that that we applaud them for doing, and I think it's somewhat helping by keeping our kids in school to not send them home doing for at-home suspension or out-of-school suspension, is what they would call it.
All right, now I will bow down because I'm against all exclusionary practices.
Yeah.
For basic things that could be handled in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Implementation is the key. And you said, you're part for the start, and I'm good with that. Just seeing some of the implementation and hearing some of the stories, we got a ways to go. Yeah. I've seen I was talking to someone the other day that spoke about a kid that got 45 days for leaving the classroom with something with the computer, right? But the thing about it is, and you sent them because it's mandatory, but that's something that can be handled. There's no need for the kid to be kicked out of school for that long, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So I do understand the reset. I'm good with that if it's being used as a reset. Yeah. Which means 30 minutes, hour and a half.
Yeah.
But we're still talking about a change in how the school, the code of conduct is put in place. The understanding like there is some leeway on, you don't have to kick the kids out. And like you said, getting back to the root causes, you know what I'm saying? And if we start, again, I keep going back, this is just my pet peeve, and this is my soapbox. If we would start dealing with the kids with building mentoring into the thing, building programs that help kids identify and engage in school. Because, like you said, the kids, they don't know. They don't even have a reason to come, right? I just need to graduate. Why am I even here? And then when you're dealing with other things, living life like how we used to live, that you're not telling me nothing that's going to make no money for me. So, yeah. So I think it's all of those things that I'm believing that if we change, you know what I'm saying? And not an afterthought, make it preemptive. Because a lot of things we do are reactionary, right? Yeah. And if we change from reactionary to preemptive, we could start looking at those deep issues that you're talking about.
And there's like different solutions that you can kind of combat it, and I'll maybe throw off some off the top of my head. Either we could go about a day that makes school a lot longer than what it is, so we can implement that, right? Because I've been a part of certain programs, and I got my start in Austin with a program that was built inside of a school day. So I will pull out of electives, right? Because they will never let you pull out a core. You can hang that up. You think you're coming into school?
I don't think you should anyway.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, me too. I agree with that. Because they're there to educate, not discipline. That's not their job. They're there to teach you school, right? So, but if you really look at it, look how sports have had a great impact on our students. For me, sports saved me. Like, had it not been for sports, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for sports, if it wasn't for even smart, like, okay, let's put aside sports because we like to run to that, right?
Yeah.
Even some of the like elective classes like theater arts, right? All of this is really just an expression of just like human life, right? They're expressing themselves, whether it be sport, whether it be theater arts, whether it be journalism, whether it be media, and these are all career paths that they normally run towards. So why are we not putting more emphasis in those creative classes, right? Or those creative fields? And I'm gonna just be honest with you, if it wasn't for sports, football, basketball, soccer, I don't think the dropout number would definitely be higher than what it is, because it's just not a lot of motivation to go to school. And I think also, to kind of piggyback on that, I think our schools need help, to be just quite frank with you. Our schools need help, right? They can only do so much, right? So when you look at some of these big time programs, and I don't want to say any names on this podcast, but there are after school programs that get millions and millions of dollars yearly, and they doesn't help out. They may say they do, or they may, say, okay, we exist or we're here, but they don't really nearly provide the services that they should, right? And I think you can probably think of something off the top of your head, but I've been a part of some, and I've been around, and it's like, y'all not doing what you're saying you're doing. And your after school program, every time you turn on the TV commercial, it's sponsorship ads or give, and it's like, yo, come on, like, the schools need help. They can't do it alone because they only have so much time throughout a day. I've worked with certain schools or certain young adults, and they had a meltdown. The meltdown lasted 2 hours. We couldn't put them back in class because he had distracted the whole class because he just wasn't over the meltdown. And that's perfectly fine, right? But it's like, how do we educate you, mentor, and teach you at the same time? And quite frankly, our schools need help.
And that's again, we're both saying the same thing. It's time to build it into the schedule, right? Yeah. We don't need to even talk about, you may say, yes, we're bringing you in, but then again, that's reactionary, right? Yeah. So it's not a thought like the kids, like you said, let's take some of this, just add that to the electives, make some extra space. And then those kids that actually need it, you get to find out what they want so that they've got things fixed. Absolutely. It's being done. So yeah, we're saying the same thing. It really is, man.
Yeah. And you can look at some schools that's been successful. My brother's keeper, they have some schools that allow whether it be advisory period, maybe lunchtime or before school, or maybe after school, they have, took measurements to, join in and have my brother's keepers like come in and maybe whether do a session or two, maybe once or twice a week. But they have, try to implement that. I'm not sure as far as nationwide. It's a well-known name, my brother's keeper. Most people know about it. But again, there's not an emphasis on let's build mentoring within our school schedules. It's not a tested subject, so they're not going to do it, right?
Yeah, and that's when I say build it in, man, I'm talking about from the district down. You know what I'm saying? Let's have some mandated things. I get you like I said, that afterthought thing, I'm kind of burned out on that. Yeah. Let's talk from TEA down. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna do this in the schools that are most needing of it. And let's make a real opportunity to change. So it is not an afterthought. It is preemptive.
I've had several talks with like certain school districts, and again, I don't want to say any names on here. I will tell you, Duncanville is one of my favorites. Shout out to Dr. Nix and his team over there. I think Duncanville is great, and they want to do it, and it's something that they've been open to. It's conversation that I've had with them personally. With their admin, with their higher ups, and to be quite honest with you, for example, even a district like Duncanville, they're considering and they're having conversations about doing things like this, but they want to put the right people in front of their students. And one thing that I tell a lot of people that, hey man, I want to do this, I want to help you out, I want to come into school. And one thing about my record, God bless me, right? I was able to expunge my record, which means police are always going to be able to see it, but certain entities. I work at a college now. I've been a teacher, right? But if you can't pass background check, you're not getting in that school. And that's just what it is, right? But most of our males that can really give them that emphasis, that like, look, this is what it's gonna be. Take this to the bank, and that's what Duncanville. They want you to, hey, if you don't do this, this is what's gonna happen, and take that to the bank. But it's hard to get something like that approved to say that we can have convicting felons or people that have been in the system, right? Because their school to prison pipeline coming to our schools, and that's just a battle that most schools they're just not willing to fight that battle.
And that's another battle that we need to. That's the things that we're fighting for, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm fighting for on the back end. We have to start changing that, because you can't. I mean, I'm not going to listen to you if you don't. Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I hear you. Yeah,
okay. And most teachers not, and to be honest with you, and this is another thing for school principals, school districts, like be more open to when people come in and they say, hey, I have this program, like be more receptive. Just listen, right? Listen to the man and what he got going on. Because some of them like, nah, thank you, but no thank you, right? They just don't. They just like no, like because they have to get it approved through their EDs, and the EDs got to go to the chief of staff, and it's levels to it. But I think for me, if we can start at the teacher level, I think we can begin to reverse the cycle, because a lot of our teachers can do it, but it's like they don't pay me enough to deal with that, and they're exhausted, right? So a lot of stuff will never make it out the classroom.
Yeah, I don't think they should. You're here to teach.
Yeah.
I'm here with something proven that does this. You're there. That's why I say, let's start from the teacher level, but we need the district and the state to start, like you said. You got to really recognize who's going to speak to them.
Yeah.
Say that for somebody else, but the kids that we're talking about that look like us, with what they're experiencing and seeing every day, you can't talk to me if you don't have that understanding.
Yeah.
Right.
I wrote a letter to Abbott and TEA about pretty much the conversation that we're having, and Abbott's office responded like, hey, we reached out to Mike Morath and his team to kind of give you a response. So what they did was call, but they called at a time they knew I was in class, so I couldn't take the call. So I was trying to respond back like, hey, I got the call. Can you call me back? Or, can we have this conversation? Like, let's talk about it. And they pretty much, and what I did was kind of put it back. Okay, let's focus on the teachers. Cause I was seeing a lot of teachers were like resigning, or they were just like dead. And I'm doing my best on campus to, motivate. Hey, like we got, their lives are like right here in the palm of our hands. Right. And, if you look at the structure too, teachers, when you become a teacher, you're still not done with studying per se. You can go and get a degree, and it's like you have to take these content tests. You got to do these collaboration tests just to score a tail pass, and it's like they're exhausted. Not only do they have the lesson plan, right, deal with parents, right, PDs, they have to continuously study and take tests. And it's like, what are these tests doing? Is it making Pearson rich, which they already are, or is it really helping? And I don't think, you get 150 questions, from a Pearson test. It just doesn't serve our kids any purpose, right? If you have a degree, if you're a certified teacher, I get it, especially if you're in a core, you want to get certified, I get it. But they just take you through all of these loops, and then eventually a teacher just get tired and just say, you know what, y'all paying me $55,000, $60,000. I can go work over here. I can be stable. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to renew a contract every year. So it's a lot that really go on with teachers. And, as you can see, A lot of them are resigning, right? We don't have enough teachers for our classroom. And now another thing you're seeing, which is relates to that discipline, is they're having subs come in. Some of them are long-term subs. So you may get literally a kid that come in at 18, 19 subbing, and the kid's looking like, bro, you talking to? Like, you almost my age. Like, how old are you? So now we got another issue, right? So it's so many issues to it. I don't know where to begin, but I think if we understand the problem, well, let's start with our teachers, because they're going to have a great impact on our students because they see their teachers more than they do their parents.
You know, I'll tell you how we do that. This is my version of it. You handle what you handle.
Yeah.
Got your piece.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight for this piece over here because that's where I know I can be effective. And you know, we did teacher listening sessions, and you're not telling a lie. It's literally what we're hearing from teachers.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, everybody needs to take their part, but we also need people to listen.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's trying to offend you. We just saying this is what we see, this is what we're hearing. Mm-hmm. Let's take some advice. We have to be able to do writing something down, as I say, not as I do. And if you're going to tell kids to do certain things, we need to model that. That's what teaching is model.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's what we need to start doing for my district down, I believe. I'm gonna jump off the district. We're not gonna hit them in the head no more. I'm gonna move on to a different question.
Yeah.
So let me. You've kind of answered everything. Tell me what your future looks like for the future of education. Tell me what education looks like. Your utopia.
Yeah.
What would a perfect, but I know that's a big question. Yeah. Take your time. What would it look like, your utopia?
I think what it should look like is, you know, for our young adults to just really discover who they are and what they were called to do here on earth, right? If you look at college, and one thing that empowers many people to go out and get in a lot of debt is that they're studying something that they want to study, right? So I think even for education, we should allow our students to discover who they are, right? Develop these leadership skills and let them study and do things that they consider fascinating or that they would consider life-changing, and something, you know, they can use and further in life to make a difference in this world. Because a lot of stuff that we're teaching them, it just doesn't equate. It doesn't make sense to them. So it's like they pay it no mind. And I think education, as we move forward, how can we educate our students on really discovering who they are and why they were called to really, you know, even if it's not, you know, we're not telling them, but we're giving them the tools to go discover these things. It's called self-discovery. That's a part of leadership. How can you self-discover? And I think, you know, at a young age, and what you see in most middle schools and high schools, our students haven't discovered who they really are. And that's the best education one can ever receive, is to really discover who you are.
Thank you, man. That's I knew it was something. That's why we need to start really at middle school. That needs to, again, I'm gonna jump back on it. That's where we need to start putting things, like building it into their schedule, so that they hold, like you said, whole child approach, so that they have things that they're interested in. And then your dropout rate is going to probably go in half, simply because they're there for what they want. They're engaged.
Absolutely.
And, we're not talking about taking core classes. We're just asking for you to build into the system, into your bell schedule, into the thought process that we need that kind of stuff.
And I think it works because you can look at most coaches are mentors, and, you know, most students that are dealing with that, you know, prison pipeline, they rely on their coaches. So just imagine if you had a class, like you say, was built in that schedule that made them feel as if they had a coach. Because the coaches, and one thing that our students really love that we don't understand is they love structure. So a person that's giving you a blueprint, that's giving you structure, but giving you love, it's like tough love. A lot of students will come to school and it will help them out in their core classes, and maybe they'll get what they want. They get their testing scores high, and then we can keep our students in our communities and out of the prison system.
Yes. So my brother from another mother, this my man, we got the same thought process.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. You know, I think you are actually covered everything that I really wanted to know.
Yeah.
And I think you covered everything that people need to hear. So about this time, I started opening up for shameless plugs. So yeah, let me open that up to you. Darius Pettway, look him up on Darius Pettway. Is it Pettway or Pet? I say Pettway, but it's Pettway.
Pettway, yeah,
Pettway, my
There's
bad.
a lot of people say Pettway though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all excuse me. I've been disrespecting my man. DariusPettway.org. A Chance To is the book. Push that up for me, bro. Push that book up for me. Yes, check it out. The Life School. From there, I'm gonna let you go ahead, do your tell everybody where you are, what you need them to hear, what they can get, where they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Again, I live by a quote that says, "No man is my enemy, no man is my friend, every man is my teacher." I think we can each one teach one. And I think that's a philosophy, you know, we can all embark on each other as we discover who we are and as we become service in our community. So, you know, for me, if I can be of servants to anyone that's listening, please contact me at, again, DariusPettway.org or email at lifeschool@DariusPettway.org. So just send me an email, even Facebook. You know, I'm not hard to contact. Please just reach out, email, via website, and if I can be of any service to, you know, any of our young people, please reach out. I'm available.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. So this is Pep Talk, mentoring, the power of it. I'm happy you joined me. Thank you for joining me. And again, for both of us, what we're asking for is a change. We need a change. Our kids need a change. Our kids are asking for a change. Until they can speak for themselves, we're going to keep speaking for them.
Absolutely.
Bro, I appreciate you, and continued success to you.
Likewise.
All right, you have a good evening.
You as well. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Thank you guys for joining. All right.